The record since June 1st is 54-68. Let's drink that in. 54-68. Do you know another stat that I can give you since June 1st? And you probably will not believe me if I told you. You know how many 7-game losing streaks they've had in that stretch?
How many?
4. That is a problem.
Yeah.
You can be able to have losing streaks, but 4 of them since the middle of June it tells a different story to me. And I'm going to lay this out for you guys, and then we can have a conversation. Carlos Mendoza is the only coach left on his staff. He has a brand new coach. He has a brand new coaching staff. 14 games under 500. The team looks and feels like the team that we saw last year in the second half. Different players, right? There's some holdovers from last year, but there's a core of guys that are here that haven't been here, but yet they're still feeling that same pressure from last year. Why? The question is why? I've talked about this. Me and Tom have talked about this in our group chat. We get very emotional, especially me, because I'm crazy. But there is a thing in basketball, in football. I don't know how much it plays in baseball, but it has to. Your coaches get you prepared to play games. They have to motivate you. They got to make sure that they're tapping in. They got to make sure that the game plan is sound. They got to make sure that everything, like synergy-wise, is working. It's what a manager's job is. It's what a coach's job is. There's a disconnect for me watching Carlos Mendoza manage this team. And it's not just 2025. There was a disconnect in 2024 as well. I understand that he was new. You need time. They went on the run, but a lot of that run was just great hitting, and he still had his bullpen issues, but they were just so hot that nobody could beat the Mets in the second half. We were the runaway train that nobody can stop, right? So that, yeah, the manager is going to get some credit for that because he's the top of the helm, right? He's leading the pack. But you can, and I always say this, right? You can be able to see holes even when you're winning. And the sad part about Mendoza is that I don't see how a guy like him can be able to motivate guys when they're struggling. When you're hot, Mendoza's good. You can be able to set him out there. You can do the uniform stuff and go about your business. But when guys are struggling and the team is not playing well, what is the message that's landing for Carlos Mendoza? Because me on my couch or me on this podcast or me in the ballpark, I don't see it. And I'm not the only person that says that. You had Pedro Martinez say, you don't think that there's other players that know this? There's something here. I'm telling you, you're not going to fire a guy in April. Of course not. But he's not going to get a long leash. If the Mets end up going 15 games on the 500, Carlos Mendoza will not be here. I don't care how early it is. He's not going to be here. Because at the end of the day, what's going to end up happening is that Steve Cohen is going to look at David Stearns and say, that's your man. That's your man. So if I can't fire you, you better go fire him. And that's what's going to happen. And maybe it needs to happen because sometimes somebody's voice gets stale. Sometimes you need somebody to say, you guys need to wake the fuck up. You guys are baseball players and you guys are just, we need to be uncomfortable. Maybe you guys are just too comfortable. And a manager that doesn't have the great motivational tactic makes guys comfortable even when they're struggling, then nobody should be comfortable on this team. If your name is not Juan Soto or Francisco Lindor, no one should be comfortable. No one.
Yeah, I agree.
That's my problem. Whoever wants to take it, go ahead.
Oh, you go, Nicole.
No, you go.
Yeah, no, you
okay.
go.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, honestly, his whole tenure here, like, he's been pretty mid. Besides, like, literally right when, you know, JD Martinez and Jose Iglesias came, that's when kind of things kind of to shift, you know, record wise and on the field and all that stuff. We did get a little insight, like, obviously during the playoff run where the cameras were in the locker room during celebrations, and you know, he looked, you know, like he was having fun with the guys and all that stuff, but like I was telling you guys, it just seems too nice, and you have to kind of have that more of that boss kind of mentality. Like, hey, you want to like your boss, you want to get along with your boss, but there comes a time where you have to have kind of like that respect that there could be a blow up situation, especially if things are not going the way that they should be going.
Yep.
And I don't know, I feel like he just needs help. Like I feel like he's not in the right, you know, role as a manager. You know, maybe, you know, another piece of the coaching staff, but just with his mentality and what I've seen, he's too easygoing just from what we've seen. Whenever he gets questioned by the media, it's always, oh, well, we have talent here, you know, they just have to get right. Like, clearly you're talented, you're a Major League Baseball player, and this team is, you know, the payroll is huge, like, but for these guys not playing, like, they're worth $30-40 million a year, that kind of goes back on clearly on the manager and be like, what's going on actually in the locker room? Like, how are you telling guys to approach the games every day and communicating with them? Like, what's not clicking? And it's been like that now for literally two and a half like years, honestly. Yeah. So I don't know. We talked about it. We all like Mendoza, but I don't know if the manager role is kind of for him. I know he was with the bench coach for the Yankees previously, and, you know, has experience with that, but I don't know. I think he kind of has to kind of get more strict and be able to kind of put his foot down and be that guy that kind of starts to kind of raise his voice sometimes in the locker room. But
yeah,
you know, what do we know? What's going on back there? But yeah.
I think that's the problem is, and I just really want to quick get to this real fast. Elvin, shop discount, get discount results, discount Dave Logic. He didn't shop discount. They spent a lot of money this year. Right. I don't know. No, I respect you, respect your opinions. I don't know what that means because they spent a lot of money on this team. That should be playing better. But I kind of like, I guess the reason that I don't get so hard on Mendy is because I did it when we were in our group chat. We were arguing about it all last week, and I went and I looked at all of the managers throughout Major League Baseball, and there's only a couple that I would consider like elite managers. I would consider Dave Roberts one, but he manages in a super team, so I don't know how much Dave Roberts is a good manager or he's just playing with some otherworldly players. And then like Terry Francona. You know, like everybody else to me seems kind of mid. So I was like, okay, if everybody else seems like kind of mid and baseball is kind of this like hybrid, like manager front office kind of running the team kind of thing. Like we always keep hearing how the manager doesn't mean as much as it used to. So I'm like, how much does Mendy like actually matter? And I will give you like even in 2024 when the Mets were on the roll and Mendy looked like he was making all the right decisions. I mean, that team didn't really turn around until JD and Iglesias got here, you know, so so I do think it does matter that Mendy is having a hard time manage this whole locker room. So I will kind of concede to that. And I will say this, I said before we started recording, I'm going to say something that's going to surprise you.
Yeah.
I have never really been that hard on Carlos Mendoza. Like I said, mainly because I don't value the managerial position as much anymore. Carlos Mendoza has been saying the same thing all year. I think in game 1 or 2 of this Dodger series, he said it again, and it was that I'm paraphrasing that we have some good players. It's a bad swing. We just got to keep pressing and keep going. Like they said, basically saying they have to play through it.
He's been saying the same thing since last year.
this was the first time that to me it sounded like I was listening to Louis Rojas, where Louis would come on and he would stand, even though they were losing and looking bad doing it, he would stick by his convictions and just trot the same team out there day in and day out. And just he would basically say he's following the game plan. Like he's following what the stat guys told him. This is how we got to play. This is what we're going to do. And this week was the first time that I heard Mendy and I was like, oh, I feel like this guy's going to be third base coach for the Yankees in a year or two.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, like that's my feeling. Like I just think that when they do make that decision to move on from him, it's going to be a while until he gets another job, just because he has really just looked like somebody who's just sitting there. And you don't feel like you have somebody who has a handle of being able to help stop skids. Like I always think about Terry, you know what I mean? I think about Bobby. I think about the guys that I know that can be able to, like, if all right, let's just switch gears. If they do make a change, the two guys that I want, it's either give me Carlos Beltran, because that should have happened before until, the scandal happened, right? Give me Beltran or give me Joe Girardi. Joe Girardi would get this team where it needs to be. I think Joe Girardi is the type of manager, might not be for a long period of time, but he can be able to get what he needs out of these players to be able to get to where they got to go. I am an old school guy. I like disciplinarians. I like guys that can be able to hold players accountable. I don't give a damn how much money you're making. If you're not playing well, you're going to have a seat.